Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up is going to be our instant post-game reaction to a heartbreaking 20-9 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. I'll tell you this, that is not the way that I thought Pete Carroll's birthday was going to go. And the offense, quite frankly, it was offensive in so many different ways. Geno Smith was absolutely terrible. Our offensive line, yet again, bad. Chip Kelly, I actually got a bone to pick with you. Not a good game overall from Chip Kelly. And we'll kind of go through here and we'll show some of the stats out there for all of our players. But this really felt like a huge gut punch. And I know it's late out there to the nation at this time that I'm making this. We still got 4,000 people live on the Raiders Report. We've given away probably close to 25. We might even get close to giving away $3,000 tonight. If you don't already know, the number one place to be if you can't make it out to a Raiders game is here on the Raiders Report, so make sure you're subscribed to do that. Now, I want to know down below, what is your one-word reaction to the Raiders' loss to the Chargers 20-9? And my one-word reaction is heartbroken, a one-word reaction, because that's just how I feel. Allegiant Stadium was absolutely electric tonight. It was rocking. The amount of text messages, the amount of photos, the amount of videos, the amount of everything that I received and just saw with my eyes, Allegiant Stadium was rocking. Tonight here on the Raiders Report, the fans, the nation, absolutely rocking. But this was hopefully the worst game that we see all season long by Geno Smith. I hope it is the worst game that we see all season long at Allegiant Stadium. But, that's just got to be one of those games, and you got to sit there. You had an opportunity to be in first place in the AFC West, You had a chance to be the only undefeated team in the AFC West, something that you really haven't been able to do in a extremely long time. So Chargers are in first place. They're not tied with anybody. They're just in first. Raiders and Broncos are tied for second place. The only good part is right here. And, if I got to look at this as, again, glass half full, which I feel like after a game where you just felt like you just got kicked in the nuts for 60 flipping minutes, you got to look at it glass half full. Chiefs are 0-2. The Raiders have the Commanders next week, which I think is a winnable game because Jaden Daniels is questionable / doubtful for next week. And, you don't want to look forward, but the Raiders defense is playing a lot better. But man, oh man, I just expected more. And I know I wasn't the only one that expected more from this game, but really rough outing for number 7. 180 yards, 3 interceptions, no touchdowns. There was a few plays where I wish that there would have been a holding call, like Brock Bowers late in that game after Max forced that fumble. I think there should have been a PI on Brock Bowers. I think there should have been another PI, Dante Thornton going down the field. But if you think that we're going to win games when your quarterback doesn't throw a touchdown and throws 3 interceptions, it's just not going to happen. I'll also say this. It's not all on Geno Smith. Was Geno the biggest reason why we lost today? Yeah, no doubt about it. When your quarterback doesn't play well, you're just not going to win games. But I think Chip Kelly deserves a lot of blame. I don't know how open our receivers are getting because there was a lot of time going. But also, we just don't have a good play design because to me, Jeanty's got to be involved more. And he had 11 carries. He had 43 yards, but I can't be the only Raider fan wondering. I felt like the 2 best runs that I saw from Jeanty, I'm trying to think when exactly they were in this game, but I felt like he had 2 really good back-to-back runs, and then they just took him right out of the game. They put Zamir White in, and I kind of felt like, when you're a shooter in basketball and you see that ball go through the net, if you're a three-point shooter, you kind of got to see that ball go through the net a few times before you get some of that confidence. And I felt like right when you saw Jeanty get a little bit of confidence, Zamir White came in, Dylan Laube came in, and maybe they just don't trust Jeanty in certain situations yet. But, for a guy that I'm still want to see what Jeanty's providing, but the number one reason why I wanted the Raiders to go with Armin Membu at number 6 overall is because not that I didn't think Jeanty was a good talent, but you are seeing right now a first-round pick that doesn't look like the number 6 overall pick because your offensive line can't block worth of shit. Now, in terms of our top receivers, you had Jacoby today, 6 for 68, and that 1 interception. Geno was trying to stretch the ball down the field, and this game could have looked a lot different if you don't turn the ball over there, you kick a field goal, you make this a one-possession game it's 20-12. It's just, there's just so many parts where you look at this game and it's so much of coulda, woulda, shoulda. It's really, really frustrating. Brock Bowers, I got to give him credit. I know he wasn't 100% healthy tonight. And, that could be another aspect that we talk about in this game. Essentially, we didn't have our best player on offense. Essentially, we didn't have our best player on our team 100% healthy. The Raiders really cooked last week in 12 personnel. Maybe we try to see it a little bit more going forward. 5 catches, 38 yards. And, again, credit to Bowers for thugging it out there, playing with a knee brace. But, he was clearly not 100% healthy. And he also wasn't practicing. Like, when you don't have your best talented player out there on the practice field all week, it's kind of what it looked like. It kind of looked like the Raiders in their biggest situations didn't have a guy that could step up like 89, and that just was a big-time issue, and it hurt us, man. It really did. On a defensive side, huge credit here to Jonah Leilua. 4 tackles, 2 sacks. He now has 3 sacks on the season. I didn't know if they were going to give it to him or Crosby on one of the plays, but Leilua had himself a hell of a game. 3 quarterback hits, 3 tackles for loss. That is the definition of filling up a stat sheet right there. Crosby, 5 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. And I'll say this because, there's been a lot of shit towards Geno Smith, and I think it's weird how many people are doing victory laps right now around Geno struggling. If you're a Raiders fan and you're doing that, I think you should honestly look yourself in the mirror a little bit. Really weird energy. But I'll say this right now, Max doesn't look like the Max Crosby that I expected to see tonight. And, maybe we would be talking about this a little bit differently if Max would have had 2 sacks last week, strip fumble. He made a really great play late in that game, kind of helped forcing that fumble on Omari and Hampton to give the Raiders yet another opportunity. But I expect 98 to dominate. And right now, 98's not dominating. And that's just kind of how I'm going to leave it. I think you guys can call it what you want. You can say it what you want. But Max Crosby is not playing up to the standard that I expect. And I don't think he's playing up to the standard that he also expects out of himself. So, I want to see more out of the Condor. No doubt. I think we all want and, quite frankly, need to see more out of the Condor. But you're getting paid $35 million a year, Max. I'm sorry, bro, but you got to start picking it up. Devin White had 8 tackles tonight. Another solid performance for him. Him and Jeremy Chin were both the top 2 tacklers for the Silver and Black with 8 in total. Both had 1 tackle for loss. I thought Jeremy Chin did a good job tonight, but to me, the worst player on our defense, and I hate saying this because I believe in Isaiah Pola-Mao, the player, you're just not using him correctly. He's not a free safety. That's just not what he is. He is a in-the-box, strong safety. He is a really good safety number 3, and you're asking him to play free safety. The last time that I checked, he gave up 3 catches for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. I think now he's probably going to be somewhere. He's probably around 4 or 5 catches over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns, right? And those were 2 really, really big plays and a lot of momentum for the Chargers, but you also got to be able to give credit to the Raiders defense. They allowed 3 points in the second half. And when you allow 3 points in the second half, you got to win the football game. And we are making the proper adjustments on defense. We are making the proper adjustments with Patrick Graham. But we got to make the proper adjustments on offense because this offense is embarrassing right now. It is. And, the Patriots, whatever, that game's a road game that's in the slush. Maybe the Chargers are really, truly this good. 2 back-to-back solid games where they took down the Chiefs, they took down the Raiders, but also at the same time, I don't know many people out there that watch the Raiders as closely as I do. My eyes told me the Raiders weren't good tonight. My eyes told me we weren't prepared on offense. My eyes told me that our offensive line can't block, our receivers weren't getting open, we looked like we missed Brock Bowers all week at practice, and we had Geno Smith press him and trying to fit the ball into tight windows, and we had Chip Kelly not calling a good game. When you mix all that up, you're not going to win in the NFL. Coming up next here on the show, I'm going to get into my 5 big takeaways from this football game. And shit, man, there's probably 20 to 30 takeaways that I could have done for this game. But my 5 big takeaways are going to be coming up here in just a moment. Before we do, though, huge shout out to our sponsor here, Prize Picks tonight. And, they always show out. They always show love. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate them. And you and I, we make decisions every day. Making a decision to root for the Raiders definitely feels like a hell of a decision right now. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Prize Picks is also the best way to get action on sports in more than 40 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Now, I don't know if I was right on my Prize Picks lineup. I know I wasn't. And, there's going to be times you're right. There's going to be times you're not. But I will say this. If I'm watching a game and I'm having a good time, you're going to be so much more invested and interested in that game with a Prize Picks lineup. There is absolutely, positively no doubt about it. So to me, my top 5 takeaways for the Raiders. First one, Geno was bad, and there's just no other way to shake it. Geno Smith was bad. I expect more out of Geno. Geno's going to expect more out of Geno, but he was just pressing. And I don't know if he was getting happy feet with the bad offensive line play. I don't know if he was losing confidence in his guys, but this just wasn't the Geno Smith game that I was hoping to see at the home opener against Allegiant Stadium. And he's just got to be better. Hopefully it's the worst Geno Smith game we get all season. But passes of 10-plus yards down the field. Geno, 0 for 11, 0 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. What the Chargers did is they said, I'm going to take away the deep ball. And it's actually exactly what they did against the Chiefs. And if you go back and you watch my Chargers and Chiefs show that I was kind of talking about earlier in the week, not Chargers Chiefs show, I talked actually about, it was earlier in the week of, I'm curious how the Chargers play the Raiders, because I said, I wonder if the Raiders are patient enough, and I wonder if the Raiders are okay dinking and dunking their way down the field and trying to really stretch it, because they were phenomenal. The best team in the NFL last week, stretching the ball down the field. This week, passes over 10 yards, 0 for 11, 0 passing yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Just not good enough. Not good enough. Also, Chip Kelly, very bad. And, you kind of expect more out of your offensive coordinator, and you kind of expect him to be able to call a good game. Unfortunately, that just didn't happen tonight. And there were opportunities where I wish Chip would have been able to stick with the running game. We just were going away from the running game way too much, and I get that they want to be able to throw the ball, but at the same time, you got to be able to create a little bit of balance. You got to be able to not allow these defenders to just be able to pin their ears back and get north and south, because it is impacting Geno Smith's ability to throw the ball down the field. And that is one of the biggest reasons why the Raiders ended up losing that game. And the stats absolutely, positively show that. And Chip's just got to be better. Chip's just got to be better overall. And that's how I'm going to say it. Oh, man. Let's go to the next reason why the Raiders lost this football game tonight. And it's the secondary. The secondary struggled. And it's kind of sucks to say this, because you only allowed 3 points in the second half, and the defense was able to make the proper adjustments. But at the same time, Isaiah Paul-Amal was really bad. We just gave up too many deep plays early on in that game. And once that happened, I think the Raiders really tried to re-scheme up for it. But, total offense tonight, 317 yards. They dominated time of possession. This just seemed like not dominated time of possession. They dominated time of possession in the first half. It's just, when you watch a game like that, it's secondary struggled, offensive line struggled. And when I say those things, and when you say them over and over and over again, you just kind of wonder, how come I see it? How come we all see it? how can the Raiders not see it? And I think if we were able to add a little bit of extra help there in the secondary, but at the same time, if you know your secondary struggling, you got to be able to bring more pressure. And our inability right now to generate pressure, it's a major problem because Herbert had all day to throw today. And maybe I'm being a little bit too critical on our secondary because of a few really big plays that they gave up and they had to cover guys, but I'll say secondary struggled and our pass rush struggled. And Quentin Johnson, he was cooking today. 3 for 71, that long touchdown catch against Isaiah Paul-Lamau. And Paul-Lamau gave up 2 touchdowns today. Gave one to Johnston, gave up one to Keenan Allen. And it was just, it was really, really tough football game. Let's go to the next reason here why the Raiders ended up losing this game. The offensive line needs help. And if JPJ is healthy, I hope that the Raiders end up putting him up at center. And I think it's just because, again, we're trying to be physical. We just don't have an offensive line that is physical. Like, quite frankly, to me, like, Parham today had some really costly penalties. Glaze did okay. But if I'm the Raiders right now, I think you just got to have the conversation of it's time to put JPJ at center. And I only say that because your interior offensive line is clearly not good. And if it's clearly not good, then somebody needs to be able to make an adjustment, right? Somebody needs to be able to do something out there. And if we're just not able to run the football, then our passing game is going to be very limited. Like, yes, Geno Smith was bad, but Geno Smith was bad because the Chargers aren't afraid of you running the football right now because they're able to put 4 or 5 guys in the box, and your offensive line isn't good enough to be able to block. And Jeanty, there was a few runs he needs to get more out of it. I want to see him involved a little bit more, but right now teams don't think the Raiders are going to run, and I don't blame them. The final thing here was this. I did think the defense was solid tonight. I was impressed by the effort that the defense played. They never gave up. They gave you so many opportunities to get back in that game. There was a huge 4th down and 1 stop. Fumble there by the Chargers, recovered by the Raiders. Another punch out there by Max Crosby. I mean, you had 2 opportunities at the end of the game. There was 2 times in this game, maybe 3 times, where I'm like, all right, this game is over. And like, he's like, all right, I think that this game's over. But then the defense got to stop. The defense got to turn over, and the defense never quit. And to me, I really, really respect that. I really, really respect that from our defense. And I think everybody right here, I mean, we kept them to 20 points. I'm with you. And if the Raiders can't win games when you're holding teams to 20 points, you don't deserve to win games. There's too much talent on this offense to not score a touchdown. And, I've seen a lot of really frustrating games. The first game that just came to my mind was the game where Derek Carr and the Saints, we lost like 24-0 to the Saints. We didn't cross midfield. The other game that came to my mind is when we lost 3-0 to the Minnesota Vikings 2 years ago. And that was like 4 days later. We won 63-21 against the Chargers. But I would say this game and those games are probably the most mentally frustrated I have been after a Raiders football game from the offensive side of the football. And that's just the God-honest truth, man. Raiders lose to the Chargers 20-9. They are now tied for second place in the AFC West with the Denver Broncos. The good news, Chiefs are 0-2. Other good news here is we are moving forward to Washington. You have to have that mindset, and you're going to get an opportunity to go up against Marcus Mariota because I think he's going to be the one that starts this upcoming week against the Commanders. But before we go, let's ask this question here. And, I want you guys to be open-ended. I want you guys to always speak with your mind. What is your biggest takeaway from the Raiders Week 2 game against the Chargers? What's your biggest takeaway? It can be whatever you want. It could be Chip Kelly's not a good OC. Geno Smith stinks. Our offensive line's crap. Ashton Jeanty needs to get involved more. At least our defense is playing well. Long season ahead. I don't care what your biggest takeaway is. I want to know what it is, and I want to see it down below in the comment section. If you don't know what my live schedule is looking like for the remainder of this week, I'm going to be live tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. Also, you will get a video in less than 9 hours from now. I promise you this. You're going to get another video less than 9 hours from now. Then, I will be live for Thursday Night Football, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. That's the night where we're going to have some beers. That's going to be a night where we're going to have some good vibes. And then on Sunday, week 3 against Washington, I will be live at noon Eastern time, 9 a.m. Pacific. We go live 1 hour before kickoff. It's how we do things here, just so all y'all know. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you click that sub button. If you don't have those notifications turned on, make sure you got them turned on, because win, lose, or tie, I'll always say this: Raider Nation till I die. And even though the Raiders lost, my work ethic will not slow down. If anything, it's going to increase this week. And if you have that exact same mentality, I hope that I see you tomorrow. I hope I see you Thursday. And I hope you see you back here on game day, Raiders Washington. Because the good news is we were able to give away almost $3,000 tonight. And even though the Raiders lost, there's going to be 2 people. Joey won almost $1,900, and there's going to be another winner here in a little bit for that duck race. So glass half full. At least some people get to win some money tonight on the Raiders Report.